You remember 3G? You're probably listening to this on a 4G phone, but are you ready for 5G? Welcome back to Plain English. This is Jeff. JR is the producer, and you are part of the best audience in the world. I really mean that. This is episode 167, and you can find the full episode transcript at plainenglish.com/167. On today's episode, what will 5G mean for you and for the world? It's the next generation of wireless technology, and it's more than just fast. It could open up a whole world of connected devices. We also have a phrasal verb to share with you in the second half of the program. Today's phrasal verb is to roll out. And of course, JR has a song of the week for us at the end of the episode. I heard that some of you have already accessed the free IELTS course available at plainenglish.com/IELTS, IELTS. So congratulations to those of you who have done that. It's an important step in getting ready for that exam. If the IELTS exam is in your future, check out the course from IELTS Advantage by visiting plainenglish.com/IELTS. 3G made the internet accessible on our phones. 4G made it faster, allowing us to consume and share video, not to mention podcasts. What will 5G bring? Think back to your online life before 4G came out, and now think about your online life now. It's quite a difference, right? We weren't watching a lot of video. Pages took a long time to load. Emails took forever to send, especially if there were attachments. We're pretty lucky here in the US because we have 4G coverage in most places we go. But sometimes I'm traveling and I get stuck with 3G, and I feel like I've been transported back decades. In fact, I think I only got my first 4G connection about 6 years ago, maybe 7. The pace of change is accelerating. That's kind of a popular phrase in business these days. The pace of change is accelerating. So things are only going to be changing faster in the future, and that is set to play out with the introduction of 5G. 5G, or fifth generation mobile technology, will be able to deliver wider network coverage, faster speeds, and, importantly, more stable internet connections. It will also be able to accommodate much more volume on the same spectrum. So what does that mean? It means that we'll be able to do a lot of things with these new connections that we can't do now because 4G is too slow or unreliable. For example, self-driving cars or self-driving trucks need to react in split seconds to changes in conditions on the road. With people's safety at stake, you can't even have a second-long delay or unexpected outages, which are both common with 4G. Don't get me wrong, this is not the only thing standing in the way of self-driving cars. but self-driving cars and trucks need lightning-fast connections to respond to conditions on the road. The other big change is going to be the Internet of Things. This is essentially connecting dumb devices, like your refrigerator, to the internet, streaming lots of data. Think about a farm. A farmer would love to know the soil conditions in all the rows of corn or soybeans or whatever. We don't have that now because the coverage isn't wide enough, and the networks, the pipes that carry the data, they're not wide enough to handle sensors pumping data 24/7 into the system. But a 5G network would be able to accommodate thousands of tiny devices measuring and transmitting soil conditions in real time to help the farmer. You can imagine that hospitals can provide better service to patients. If more medical devices were transmitting data to a central network, then doctors would be able to analyze patients' health faster than if they had to walk around room by room, taking measurements and reading unconnected devices. Manufacturing, too, can be made more efficient with a wider implementation of the Internet of Things. Another example of the Internet of Things is in smart cities. A city, for example, would be able to connect sensors to things like lampposts to tell them when a light is out, when a fire hydrant is running, when a gun is fired, where there are traffic backups, all that stuff that cities have to track. These days, what do? They wait for complaints to come in and then they respond. Well, with sensors and the Internet of Things, cities will be able to respond faster, waste less money, and deliver better services to their citizens if they can connect sensors to a network that can handle all this data and all these devices. Virtual reality and augmented reality both stand to gain from 5G. Virtual reality is like you put these bulky headsets on and you can walk around and you only see what's in the goggles ahead of you. That's mostly for games. Augmented reality is like glasses or views that add to what's going on around you. Pokemon Go, for example, that's augmented reality. It's the real world, but people see these cartoon characters superimposed on the world around them via their phones. It's mostly games right now, but it has a lot of potential to help in surgery, flying airplanes, navigation, repairing complex machinery. 5G is going to help all this because of its speed, reliability, and low latency. Latency would be the time it takes to respond to something. I'll give you an example of augmented reality with navigation, which is probably the most applicable to our lives. Let's say you're lost, or you just want to know what's around you. With augmented reality, you can point your phone's video camera down the street, and Google Maps can tell you what you're looking at, what every building is. Now, this wouldn't work if a lot of people were streaming a live video of their location to Google. It would overload the system we have now. But 5G is powerful enough to accommodate a lot of data through the pipes. So now you can imagine a permanent video camera on the front of your car just constantly streaming its view, and you can, whenever you want, have the car tell you what you're looking at, either on a screen or superimposed right on top of the windshield. These sorts of things are not possible with 4G because of data limitations. With 5G, it won't be a problem. Listen, I told you, the pace of change is accelerating, but it's exciting. 5G is being rolled out in certain places in the US, UK, China, and South Korea right now. And a new report said that almost half the world's population will have access to 5G devices as soon as the year 2024. I want to say hi to a couple of listeners today. First up, Juan Manuel from Tlaxcala, Mexico. He says he listens in the mornings on the way to work and always gets good conversation topics from the program. So a big hello to Juan Manuel. Also, Vinicius from Brazil saw that we were mentioned in a few blogs in Portuguese. Now, I knew about one of the articles in Exame, but he also saw us mentioned in a Portuguese language blog at FluentU and a Brazilian website called Minds Idiomas. Anyway, Vinicius, thanks for sharing those blogs with me. Finally, Miguel from Bogotá, Colombia, is a drummer in a band. He sent me a clip of his band playing, and it looked like a lot of fun. Miguel is making a list of all the most useful expressions that he heard on Plain English, and he's using them to study for the IELTS exam. And by the way, he is one of your fellow listeners that is using the resources at IELTS Advantage. He really likes the videos that Chris and the team have put together, and he finds it an easy way to study. It really is. It's way better than buying a book. It's better than just text-based resources. Chris's videos are very powerful, and they should be the first step for any of you who are studying for, even if you're just considering taking the IELTS exam. You can access that free course at plainenglish.com/IELTS. Oh, do we have a good phrasal verb for you today? Roll out. And I'll just say in advance, I didn't do this on purpose. You'll find out what I mean in a minute. When you roll something out, you introduce it to the public for the first time. Usually we say this when a product or service first becomes available. We say that the product is being rolled out. I told you earlier that 5G is being rolled out now in some places in the US, UK, China, and South Korea. Motorola is rolling out its Moto Z4, which is capable of using these fast 5G networks. Samsung's Galaxy S10, I think, can also access 5G speeds. Verizon Wireless, one of the big mobile providers in the US, is rolling out its fast 5G service in Chicago and Minneapolis. They're only going to have it in a handful of places, so it's not service that people can use on a daily basis. but eventually they'll roll it out to the rest of the city and the rest of the country. Coca-Cola is rolling out a new flavor. We all know about that. Coca-Cola with coffee. We talked about it in episode 151, plainenglish.com/151. They're rolling it out as Coca-Cola con café in Spanish-speaking countries. They rolled it out early in Japan years ago as Coca-Cola plus coffee. I'm just waiting for them to roll it out here in the US. I know a lot of you have seen it in Mexico and Brazil, so clearly they rolled it out in Latin America before doing so in the US. Facebook is rolling out a new cryptocurrency, the Libra. We might talk about that in a future episode, who knows? The global rollout of Libra is scheduled for the first half of 2020. Spotify is rolling out something interesting here in the US. It sounds like a lot of fun. It's called Drive Time. I think it's called Drive Time. It's going to be like a daily playlist that combines little snippets of news, information, and music. It's supposed to mimic the experience of listening to morning drive time radio in your car, but for the modern age, customized to you. I don't know all the details yet. They just announced it last week, I think. But you'll probably be able to customize your daily playlist by telling Spotify what news sources you like and what kind of music you like. That's pretty cool. They haven't rolled it out yet, but it is coming. Speaking of, it's not here yet. I cannot give you any details. I'm just not in a position to provide any details just yet. But JR and I are working on rolling out something new for the plain English audience. It's more than just an idea at this point, but it's not really ready to be announced yet. But we are working hard every day. We even have a video call every weekend to plan and talk about it. We are working hard every day on this new and exciting chapter here at Plain English, and we expect to be able to roll something out this summer, July, but more likely in August. Today's song comes from our old buddy Jana from Germany, who inspired our episode about the zero-waste lifestyle. The song is called Careless Whisper by George Michael. It's an old one, 35 years old this year. It was really popular when it came out. It was a #1 hit in 25 countries. Careless Whisper. I didn't recognize the title when JR first sent it over, but after I heard the first couple of notes, I recognized it immediately. It has prominent saxophones throughout, but especially at the beginning. JR says that it's used in commercials for hotels in Mexico, since it sounds like the kind of romantic song you want to hear at a hotel. I don't know where I recognized it from, but it's one of those songs that you know it, even if you don't remember any words or where you heard it from first. So let us know if this is a song you ever hear in TV or commercials. Careless Whisper with the saxophones by George Michael. And thanks to Jana and JR for the addition to our playlists this week. If you would like to nominate your favorite song in English, you can send an email to jr@plainenglish.com. That's all for today, for today's episode of Plain English. I hope I was able to whet your appetite about our upcoming global rollout of, I can't tell you what, but something exciting. We'll always be here, don't worry. The program is not going away, but if you want to be among the first to know about our exciting new adventure, then you want to be on our email list, which you can join at plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. You'll also get some other great free resources with every episode, including summaries of the main topic, links to English articles, and an extra vocabulary word for each episode. Since we have 2 episodes a week, that's 104 new words a year, just for free subscribers to plainenglish.com/mail. Thanks again for being with us, and we'll be back on Monday. If you enjoy listening to Plain English, then I'd like you to consider joining Plain English Plus. With video lessons, faster audio, flashcards, and online courses, it's the best way to take your English to the next level. Visit plainenglish.com/plus to read all about it.